Hello.
Hello, how have you been?
Good. And you?
Oh, I'm burning the candle at both ends, I'm afraid.
Oh,
Some of it is fun, some of it not.
work related or non-work related?
Well, the non-work related part is the fun part. Um, and I guess some of what I do for the security team is fun, but can get tiring. Um,
Was yesterday's interesting or are you not involved in it?
I was involved in two of the security advisories released yesterday. And let's just say that the severity of the problem is not closely correlated to how much work it takes to fix it.
No, usually that's not. It's probably one of those things where the tests are a few thousand lines and, well, I mean, not in this case, but like the, the level of effort, a few thousand lines and hours of testing for a one line change, one character change. Yeah. Sorry. Hopefully it'll get better once they can actually do testing uh, on like a bot and things. I don't think they can with the security patches, or I didn't think they could.
Yes, we can.
Has
Hi,
that
Mike.
changed? Oh, if we're doing videos, I should turn on videos.
Yeah, we typically test against the latest released versions of the current and previous
I just
version
didn't
of
think the
Drupal.
CI was all set up over on that Git repo and such. I thought
It is
that had
now.
changed. It is now, okay. See what I know.
And we test against 9.3 point something and 9.4 point something, and then the head of 9.4 and 9.5 and 10.0 and 10.1. So
Uh,
it's a good thing that we've got it set up automatically.
yeah.
Mike, how was your audio this time around?
Hopefully better. I finally tracked my Zoom issues down to my processor overheating and Mac OS throttling everything. So
Aha.
my laptop now sits on a nice cooling pad, and I haven't had Zoom issues since.
Awesome. And you do sound fine. Big improvement.
Now I got a scratchy throat today, so I can't do anything about that. But here I am. Anybody hear from Vicky? Is she planning on?
I have not heard anything.
I'm sure there's lots of work we'll get to, but I find the more beneficial thing is like, how are you doing? How's it going, Mike?
Oh, not too bad. All things
You're still in
considered.
Michigan?
Yep.
Ann Arbor area?
I was working in Ann Arbor, but I live around Lansing. I'm fully remote now. I'm not going to Ann Arbor anymore. But yeah, I used to work for a shop in Ann Arbor. It was a hell of a commute. Back in Costa Rica now,
Yeah, down Nicaragua.
or Nicaragua. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's something going on with Costa Rica in my company Slack, and it's on my brain.
We just flew through Costa Rica.
Nicaragua. I knew it was Nicaragua.
Yeah. We came through Liberia about what week and a half ago. 2 weeks ago. Nice country. They do a good Drupal camp every year. Haven't been to it in a few.
Aha.
There she is.
Hello.
Hi, Vicky.
Hello. Apologies for being a wee bit late.
Not a problem.
We've already missed some of the more important stuff, like how are you doing? How's it going?
It's tough to say around here because we're rotating through the family being sick. Right now it's my
Ooh.
husband's turn.
Ooh.
And he kept me up last night.
So have you already had your turn or is it coming up?
I've had my turn and it was a
Okay.
doozy, I tell you.
Oh,
It was not pleasant at all. And once I finally got over it, then I had this long recovery, feeling weak for a long time. And then because of the constant coughing I had and stuff, I had to go to the chiropractor. My back and shoulders have been, and neck have been a mess. It's fun getting old, guys.
I was telling him I woke up with a scratchy throat today. If it doesn't go away soon, I'm gonna take a test and see what's going on.
my only response to getting old is that it's better than the alternative.
That it is.
Definitely.
Unless you're talking about downloading my consciousness into a robot body, because that's been my dream since the 90s.
Oh, we can see you.
Yeah. I don't know why I have that
Any,
background though. I'm trying to figure it out.
Any interesting stories from the trenches that you can share because of NDAs?
I've been struggling to get BHAT testing working for one client.
Was it the BHAT or the environment for BHAT?
The environment is the hard part.
I'm laughing. I've set it up so many times you'd think it'd be easy, right? Every
It's
single
always
time.
something. Yeah,
It's
there's always
something. It's
something.
all yep. Selenium or yeah, whatever. Something in that mix is just not easy.
And then they have a SAML sign-on, which I decided we can afford to disable for the sake of the tests.
Yeah, because we're not needing to test SAML anyways. Plus,
That's
it's
right.
not able to handle the load or whatever.
Yeah, it's fine, but the Drupal specific add-ons for it are always out of date, and so it's just you have to write a lot of code if you really want to do deep stuff.
For Drupal.org, I don't know how long it took to run because I was gone on vacation for 3 weeks, but we migrated 2.1 million users into Keycloak.
Nice job.
Using Mike Ryan's framework. Bit of a, it works pretty well. There's some rough edges here and there, but as far as working, taking anything to anything, I wanted to go into a web service and trying to do that with Drupal's framework would have been more complicated. And it works really fast. The thing that slows it down is the web service. Like running Keycloak, which is what they're using or going to be using locally in a Docker instance. I was doing like 1,000 a minute or something, or some crazy number like that. And then we go to the cloud hosted, and it's like 4 a second.
Well, people are always complaining about how long it takes to do the load phase in Drupal through the entity API. And can't we batch it and create a dozen entities at a time? And we always tell them why we're not going to do that. But feel free to make a contrib module that does it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not above a custom destination that kind of bypasses that for certain specific targeted things, just to make it go faster. I'm not above an update hook that reads a CSV and dumps a bunch of stuff in there and fakes a migrate map table so I can migrate lookup against it later without actually running a migration. But don't tell anybody. Don't do that, folks at home listening to this in the future.
Well, speaking of which, I will edit this before making it public. So if you want, I can snip out this portion of the discussion. Although it's easier if I don't edit it.
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Anybody come up with an agenda this time? No one ever comes up with an agenda before these.
We just
So
like to chat.
Part one is meet and greet, and then part two is what?
I have a couple of things top of mind. The first is, what is the state of migrate tools? And are we in good shape with respect to Drush? And Lucas, I think you were the last one to look at that. And the other, there are a couple of critical issues, one of which is on my plate that I have to look at Vicky's latest patch for permissions. Hello, Allison. But the other one is we want to deprecate migrate set, and we've wanted that for years. And we finally have an RTDC issue that's blocking that. And I think it's time to nudge one of the core committers to take a look at that RTDC issue.
Okay. Do we want to put issue links in here?
I can probably do that. Let me see.
It was useful to read out issue numbers for the video later, though, because the chat doesn't come through.
Oh, yeah.
Do we paste it into Slack or hello, by the way, but do we paste it into Slack or not? I can't remember from before.
You can post issue links in the Zoom chat. Just when you're talking about them, read off the issue number in case someone's looking at the video later.
Okay, no, I meant like, do we also put them in like sort of as a, I don't know, companion or
Well,
whatever in Slack
will know
messages
what,
or no?
no one in Slack will know what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
If they're not in the Zoom, so.
There we go. There we go. All right, so I just pasted it into the Zoom chat. It's 3262395. Is that right?
Yes, that is correct.
3262395. Yes.
Is this the one that I most recently looked at? Or is that another one?
I don't think you've looked
No.
at this one.
It's an array with two
Yeah, I did. I
keys.
marked it RTBC.
You did comment on the merge request a couple of times, but mostly it's been Vicky and me.
It's tagged for a change record update though.
Well, your last comment where you said at RTBC said, I'm setting this RTBC to get more eyes on it, which is a scary sentence. But yeah,
Do
should
we
we change?
do we need someone from the plugin namespace to comment? That's the first thing when I open this up.
I don't know if we need someone from plugin or framework manager review.
Are we suggesting let's just ignore that and hopefully no one else notices it?
But basically it's a child actually. We made it a child of 2796755. And Alex Pot is the one who was looking at that. So really he's the one. So I get, is he a framework manager or anyway?
Yeah, he's a framework man. Just ping him and have him take a look. I'm sure they're busy, but he usually responds pretty quick if you catch him during his hours.
Yeah.
I will ping him then.
Not right now. It's like 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah, he's England or
Yeah.
so.
I think so. Western Europe somewhere.
This
I think
England, I
they
don't know his hours. I think he still sometimes works with Acromedia, so he might be. But he also works with Thunder, so I don't know what time zone he works in.
So Lucas, can you say what the status of migrate tools is and our Drush commands?
Yeah, I can. Do you want me to?
I do.
Okay. I can. It seems to be working
Yay.
with Drush 10. Like I've used it a couple of times and it just works. And so what works? What's working is that the stuff from migrate tools just sort of overwrites what comes from Drush. So if you don't install migrate tools, you can use Drush's runner. If you happened, if you happen to have migrate tools already installed for some reason, then you just use what you always had used before. Somehow with namespacing and calling up code, it seems to take the contrib overwriting of the namespace for core Drush.
Okay. And you've implemented all of the legacy flags, or have you left some of them off?
It doesn't like mesh them, it overwrites them.
I'm not asking whether you
So I didn't
override
change
the
any
Drush
code.
core. So you didn't change any code. So everything that the previous version of migrate tools had, all of its options, including the ones that Moshe didn't like, are still there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we can, you can't use the same namespace, it seems. Easily. Without ripping out a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And I don't feel particularly motivated to spend a great deal of time to do that. if I were needing to, I would, but like around the time that we're trying, oh no, we can't get this to work or whatever, then then I it's like, well, let's just see if it works. And so it did. It's like, I don't have time to right now in the middle of this project to put in all this extra effort to get this working. And we kind of need tools.
Okay, if it works, it works. I'm happy.
Yeah. Basically, it leaves us in a good place. You can use it with migrate tools if you had it already, or if you didn't want it, you could use Drush. So it sounds very anticlimactic in a way, because it kind of is.
So let's see, Drupal 10 is coming. And that's why I need to review the latest patch for the permissions.
Yes.
I guess maybe we should also check compatibility of Migrate Tools and Migrate Plus and so forth.
Tools Plus and Upgrade all have green on Drupal 10 right now.
That is awesome.
That's good.
Have since February, sometime, like way long time ago. Which is good because I don't have time now, but I did then.
Well, Commerce says it'll install on Drupal 10, but it doesn't. Our homepage says it does. It's info at YAML says it's installable in 10, but it won't install. Composer won't let
Okay.
you.
Well, we've got green tests on 10.0 or 10 something X on
Yeah.
Drupal CI.
Perfect. That means it's flawless.
If I could, I have to go back to the migration set one. I'd forgotten it has a deprecation in it, which means it's not going to happen in 9.
No, but 10.1's open though, which is
Yeah.
probably where it'll end up having to go.
Or
So I
10.
guess I
But
should
still wouldn't hurt.
go ahead.
It still wouldn't hurt to talk to Alex Pott about it.
And I guess I should change it so that it targets 10.1 before asking him to look at it.
Yeah. I just had
Well,
some
I mean, if you
issues.
still want to try and
kickback.
get it in 9.5, that'd probably be Nat. It'd probably best talk to Nat or Jess.
I just had Jess kick a 9. If there's any update hooks. No, what was it they said? I just had a bunch of a couple of issues kicked out of 9.4, 9.5 by
Yeah.
Jess. So I feel
9.
I've kind of given up on 9.4, 9.5.
The only thing that's going to be deprecated in 9.5 should be the module related ones to get the modules out.
Yeah, mine was a deprecation.
Yeah, target 10.1 then. But let's actually finish it this cycle.
And the
Cool.
reason, so I think I started that set one because I felt dirty always doing magic __ set, type things. Just didn't feel right when we kind of knew all the things that core knows about. Just sort of to like validate with everyone. Is everyone else sort of in that same sort of, let's more strongly type this thing. Let's make sure we expose all of these things.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine and good to do. It also, I mean, you're right. There's nothing wrong there. It's just kind of an icky thing. So it's also not, I mean, and hence why it hasn't been done, not top priority of mine.
No,
But I'm all for doing it.
okay. But it feels like one of those sort of API perfect moments of mine from several years ago. And I'm just trying to validate with myself and others that maybe we're a little more experienced now. Is this still something that we kind of want, or is this just an old issue that we're kicking down the road because
No, anybody can extend the migration class and use their own and add whatever they want in there. So there's no reason for.
but the
I mean,
core the core plugin and core class and all that stuff shouldn't have.
actually, even in, I mean, PHP itself is moving hard to discourage undeclared variables in classes and in general. So, or whatever it is, the next PHP is gonna, like, you're gonna have to specifically tell it somehow that it's okay to set undeclared variables in this class. So we should definitely get rid of just allowing people to set whatever the heck they want.
Oh, I still do that all the time on entities. Because I need a flag to set in there to say that I'm migrating, or I've already entered this once and I'm doing re-entrant code. And I want to see if that flag's already been set by myself. Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot more like private classes and final classes, not private classes, private methods, private properties, and final classes these days on all my projects. Something I picked up from a couple of the well-known developers I've worked with in the Drupal community, where they started doing it. I asked, why? Why are you doing that? Well, who's going to extend it? Who's going to, well, I don't know, myself, I guess. Well, then in that case, you can change it from final, right? So I started to be a little bit more protective about things. Now, contrib, everything has to be public and protected methods and properties and things, because you can never tell when someone's going to extend.
Trib doesn't have to be, core does.
Well, I guess you're right, it doesn't have to, but I'm more likely to still let contrib be. I'll take that back. I still make a lot of things final and contrib too, just because it makes it easier to maintain the contrib project.
Oh,
Also,
yeah,
don't you think-
you can make changes without having to deprecate things if you know no one's extended this, because that's the catch for, why we do a lot of these deprecations, and where the problem comes in as well. What if someone extended this and is doing it? Well, if you know that no one's extending it, and you know that if someone extended it, they're not accessing this private method, it makes it a heck of a lot easier to make changes.
Yeah. Allison?
I was just thinking also specifically in the context of migration modules. I mean, I guess this is more particular to Migrate Plus, but some of the work is theoretically aimed at maybe someday being in core. Not all of it, I realize, but making things, I guess it depends on if we're talking about generally or specific to the Migrate system. I don't know. That's just sort of stream of consciousness thought here.
No, I like to make contrib stuff extendable, especially if it's like a process plugin. I assume a lot of those things should be extendable. It's more in the data model space where maybe I've got an entity and I don't really want, like a config entity. I don't want necessarily to have to worry about someone modifying my config entity. Or things that are very trivial in the first place. Again, config entities is a great example. Those are really just value objects. Even if I'm adding quite a bit to it, if there's not a lot of logic in there, sometimes it's just easier to put final on there And if someone else needs to do their own thing with it and swap it out wholesale, they can always copy mine to start as a start for their own. But then they're like forking the code and again, not extending at all. Going back to that BC comment of Michael's.
Yeah, I think the backwards compatibility is the issue. Now that we've lived with Drupal, object-oriented Drupal for a few years, and we've been through a few upgrade cycles, and we've seen how much work it is to get rid of something.
It's a lot easier to do private and final.
Yes.
And then later someone open an issue and say, hey, can you like take that final flag off? And then we can debate it then. Than it is the opposite way. And I haven't had anyone ask me yet to take the final off.
Yeah, I'll give it a few more years.
Yeah, well, that's true. What else is going on?
Excuse me. I'm just looking through the queue to see if there's anything that pops out. Oh, there's this little issue I found lurking in another subsystem. Where did it go? Issue number 3280120, which is about adding a null check in a process plugin. Go in the chat. I came across it. And all I did was move it. Do we care about adding checks like that?
When migrating a link, the field can be empty, and it will return a warning about the array key that cannot be accessed. So if this is just about silencing warnings, then that's generally a good thing.
It's
Unless the warning means something.
Somebody needs to show me a test with an actual scenario where this happens. Like there needs to be data in our fixture that can cause this. Definitely putting this back.
It's only used in the D6 link field source plugin. I mean process plugin. The field plugin rather, sorry.
It doesn't make any sense. If the field is empty, then it's an empty array and the process plugin is never called. So yeah.
I don't know, yeah.
We're gonna need tests. Maintainer needs more info.
That brings to mind a good question. You said Drupal 6. Do we want to discuss, or did we discuss recently, Drupal 6? And we said
we
maybe
decided we
Drupal
were-
6 and 7 at the same time.
Yeah, that's what we decided. Which
It's
probably
hard
won't
to
happen
separate
in
them.
10 either. Maybe 11, but it's not happening anytime soon. So
Why is it not going to happen? I'm just asking. In 10, just because
seven's still. I mean, 7's still going to be supported for another year plus. I don't see us getting it done before 10, and I don't see the numbers of adoption going down low enough, even if they don't extend it again, which they,
What
I
if
get it.
we, so when I asked even folks like Fabian, I mean, no one really was asked this last time around,
Was asked what?
whether we should extend this or not. I'm not sure who was involved in that decision. I don't know. I think it surprised a lot of people.
Certainly surprised me.
I mean, we maintain the upgrade system. Fabian is one of the 2 or 3 committers for Drupal 7. And, you would have thought some hint of this would have come out. So I feel like it's a little bit of a warm-hearted gesture from Dries. I don't know. I could be wrong. And not saying it's the wrong decision. It's just I feel like it came out of nowhere, and I feel like there's going to be a little bit more. Hey, can we talk about this a little more? I would want to talk about it a little more.
I read
next time.
the whatever announcement where I feel like I don't remember seeing. It's a good question. When I've read about it's going to be revisited next summer, right? Or like no later than next summer or something like that. That's, first of all, seems a little bit, no judgment here. It's a little bit stressful kind of timeline. That's not that far before November, all things considered. But it's not like I have a better idea. But I don't remember seeing anything about how they're going to decide or who's involved. But that doesn't mean they didn't say that. I don't remember seeing that from what I've read.
Yeah, I think you're right. They will let us know a year from now whether it will be extended beyond November of 2023. So they'll let us know
But
in
if-
July of 2023 whether it's extended again.
But I don't think that at this point we need to plan as if it's going to be extended, is kind of my point. So if we were to plan as if it wasn't, when does 10.11 get released? Can we still start opening up issues in 10.1 to deprecate? And then if that discussion comes up again, we can point to this trail of half a dozen or dozen issues that have already been closed, fixed, where we've removed the node migration.
And you can open up issues. I think that whether or not
I like to rock the boat, I guess.
I know you do. I think whether or not support is extended or not, the real question as to when we can do it comes down to, how many active Drupal 7 installs there still are, because at the end of the day, it's a business and marketing decision for Drupal as a whole, that there's a strong incentive to get people off of 7 and make that as easy as possible for as long as there are people on 7 or a significant number of them. And right now there still are, and I don't see that changing.
I felt there
the
was
next
a great
year.
deal of, oh boy, we better get off of this thing ASAP, sort of.
Yeah, and the numbers
the
are going
beginning
of
down,
this
but
year.
they're still not.
And
I
there
used to feel
was
that way.
a lot of funding getting like, okay, we'll set aside money this year to do it. And then that balloon got popped. That was my sense.
I don't know. I'm just one person, and I think this is probably a gut feeling kind of a thing. I don't know. I don't feel if somebody made me place a wager, I would wager on it getting extended again. But that's just one person. I don't know. It's not what it feels like. That extension last year made me feel like, oh, this is just going to keep happening. I don't know how much of that is. I have no idea what other people think. That's just what's in my head. That's what that
I
means.
think you're right.
That's how I read that. And that's.
I think
yeah.
you're right. I think whoever's making the decision, be it whoever, is is probably looking at, adoption numbers and probably has a number in their head that it's got to be below before, I don't know what it is, but probably has some number that it's got to be below before they're going to consider getting rid of or stopping supporting it.
Do
And I don't
do
think
you
we're going to
think
hit
that
that
our
next
issues
year.
would get kicked back if we tried to migrate? Let's just do a simple migration like some of the variable migrations around search or something. I don't know. Someone tell me what's a simple one.
I think ultimately they will get kicked back to at least 11, and I don't know how much point there is to putting effort into starting it now.
That's why I
when
was
it's
saying
going to-
try to float it on the water a little bit.
Well, that's fine, and you're more than, I mean, there's no reason not to, other than, you're gonna put a lot of effort into it that is gonna have to get redone because of all the things that are gonna change in the next 4 years, before
they
we
going-
actually get around to it.
It could also be a good tactic of, like you're saying, testing the waters, right? To find out. That might be a good way to find out.
I mean, you could just
you're
ping
saying.
the product managers and ask them. No, there's not really a whole lot of reason to write a bunch of code if you can't just.
Well, I was thinking.
I don't know how much Angie's still involved now, but I mean, if you can,
I was just gonna put deprecated in there with like the mess. Isn't that how you deprecate these YAMLs? Deprecated : and then this is deprecated as of 10.1, see change record and write a.
Except we still don't have a way to deprecate a migration YAML file.
Is that because it's a YAML file? We don't have a way to deprecate YAML plugins?
Here's the issue. I just put it in the thread.
I remember it. I just don't remember what we discussed.
I thought we finished that one.
303-9240.
Well, it's functional, but no one's reviewed it for a while.
Well, there you go, Lucas. Work on that before you worry about getting the
Come on.
Drupal
I
6
like
7
it.
stuff out of core.
Oh, what a great suggestion, Mike. Well done.
Yeah. You got me there.
Yes, that would be lovely to get that finished though, because that would free up a lot of stuff. Not
I'm
just
already following it, so I
migration.
can't just say I'm following it now.
What about separating out? You were saying like we said that Drupal 6 is going to go with Drupal 7. Is that a decision to revisit or no?
They're so intermingled. I don't have
Yeah.
to say.
It's
No.
too much
Not
work
worth
to
it.
separate
Not worth
them.
it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this create a way to deprecate things. I mean, I don't think there's any deprecations in it itself. I mean, this could still be a candidate for 9.5,
Yes, I believe that's correct.
I believe. So we could get it in, and then by 10.1 we'd be able to do it if there was a desire to. I just don't. Well, I mean, the other flip side to what I was saying about their staying in is all that stuff Dries was talking about pulling a bunch of modules out of core. So I don't know where migrate falls in that. I believe migrate's useful currently while we have the 6, 7 sources in there. I don't know where migrate as an API is going to stand after we do pull 6 and 7 out now. I'd always believed it would stick around in core, but if they're really talking about a lean core, it might not. I haven't had anybody tell me either way. I haven't seen what the official list of, or maybe it's not finished yet.
How much at DrupalCon did they have these types of conversations? Or was it more, hey, I haven't seen you in 4 years, so let's do a great big hug and hang out?
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, well, Benji and I sat and talked on migrate stuff, but I sat and talked to Gabor and the DA guys for a little while, but I wasn't involved in any like major framework meetings.
Were
at
there
least
framework
personally.
meetings?
Doesn't mean they didn't happen, just meant I wasn't there.
Yeah, I don't think there were very many core conversations. Like they may have just left that track out of this year's DrupalCon.
There were a lot of people missing. a lot of major people that would normally be there at a North American DrupalCon, especially the folks from Europe that would normally, Alex Pott wasn't there, Wim Lears, a lot of those people weren't there. Just wasn't there, so a lot of people that would be involved in those conversations would have been remote anyway.
I've tried to do those Zoom calls at a DrupalCon remote. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's hard to be the one guy on the computer when there's 20 people in a room talking.
It doesn't
Yeah,
work.
I did it remote for the European for DrupalCon Europe. One of the years, the last year before COVID, I think.
That's quite interesting because my daughter's in a group here which does that. They have people physically in a building at a meeting, and they also have Zoom set up for the people who can't be there physically, and they find it works really well.
If you
We've
have
been doing
really
that for some
expensive,
governing bodies at work
Yeah.
at Cornell. We're doing that for some like the employee assembly and stuff like that. We've been doing that.
if you have really expensive and the right equipment that interplays it all together, that's great. We don't ever seem to have that in the
Half the time the
Well,
Wi-Fi cuts out
right.
during the call, and
We're
it's
lucky to
someone's
have Wi-Fi at
laptop
DrupalCon.
20 feet from the person who's talking.
Doesn't matter. I tried very hard not to connect to the Wi-Fi at DrupalCon anyway. 'Cause that's a big unsecured network. Well, do we have resolution on D76 for the quarter? If you want to start making issues, that's fine. I would start with
No,
making
you're right.
issues,
This needs to land
Don't make
first.
issues. No.
but yeah, we may
No.
postpone them.
This has to be landed first. We gotta get deprecations working. I don't even know.
There's two issues we need to get done before we can.
Yeah, role
Consider.
permissions and what was the other
No,
one?
What's-
I mean to move migrate Drupal to contrib.
Oh,
If you look on this issue, which is 3280243, it's got a list of the ones that need to be done to move migrate Drupal, which is currently at 2 issues.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I see. Is it the first one there? There's 09349. Move source module and destination module to migrate Drupal. Yeah.
That
should
one's
all-
ready to go. I don't know why. Somebody should set that RTBC, I think.
Okay, well then. That one's always should have been migrate Drupal.
Yes, that was my mistake, everybody. I
Was it
knew.
yours?
Ish.
I-
Yes, yeah.
Okay. We won't hold it against you.
Was that a will or a won't? I didn't.
Well, we won't,
Thank you.
but it
Speak
definitely
for
should.
yourself.
We like you
Well-
too much.
If you wrote the code, then someone else reviewed it, and you can share it at least 2 ways.
Excellent point.
The deprecation numbers are gonna need to, it says
Oh, it has
9.4.
Oh, bother. Does it have a deprecation in it?
Yeah.
Oh, that means it's got to move back. There we go.
Where is it? It's because the source, something in the source interface gets source module.
Yep. Oh,
Yeah.
fudge.
BC.
My 2 least favorite letters.
Oh,
All right. All right. So it's on my list to update that patch. Do that.
and am I following it? I will follow it.
Actually, I'm going to assign it to myself right now. Oh, goodness.
So Allison, everyone else said how they were doing earlier, but we kind of were already past that first 10-minute
Yeah.
little. Give us an update. What's
Um,
life like for you? Unless there was
oh.
something more important, Benji, or
Then what? Sorry.
I don't think there's anything. I think it seemed like a logical pause, so I just jumped in there with that. But
Well, thank you. Well, I have been spending a ton of time at this camp that my family has on a beautiful lake in upstate New York. I live in upstate New York, but in a different part of upstate New York every weekend since US Memorial Day. So I'm feeling amazing about that. Didn't think that we'd actually go that often because we never have before, and we are this year. And it's, if you can spend time at a lake, it's just, there's nothing better. So really, really lucky. And I'm so glad that we're actually doing it all the time this year. So that's awesome. Also, my dog just found a hole in this fence. So she has to be on the leash with me now, which is super annoying. So nice to be able to, this is my in-laws house, not our house, but still. Ugh, so annoying. Thanks, Darcy. Anyway, but on overall, still a good summer. I don't know if that's the kind of stuff you shared or if you talked about migration.
pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Thank you for
So-
asking.
So what does upstate New York mean? Adirondacks or
Oh, what a good question.
near Canada?
No. Yes, it's just not New York City. But then there are some weirdos who think that it is specifically the Adirondacks kind of area, but that's the Adirondacks. I don't know why they think they need two names. Upstate New York just means not the city, according to me and other, smart people. But it is actually a point of contention. Some people think upstate New York is a region in, I don't know, what do they call non-New York City? We have to have a name for it. It's like the not New York City. That doesn't make any sense. Their logic is flawed. And yeah, but I live in Rochester, which is Western New York. And the camp that we have is in the Finger Lakes, which is sort of near Syracuse. Or the Finger Lake that we're on is near Syracuse in Ithaca.
Okay.
Because you're in Boston, that's not super far.
Yeah.
I live near Boston now, but I grew up in New York City in Manhattan. So I considered Westchester to be upstate.
Well, so the thing is, it absolutely is, because it's not New York City.
Exactly.
So, exactly. Very, very informally, and I don't think people would know what I meant, but like just me and my family, I call that downstate upstate because it's just outside of New York City. But I don't think that I would not expect that to mean anything to anybody. That's just what we say when we're referring to the very just outside of New York City area.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's not New York City. It's absolutely upstate. In my opinion. Here's my puppy. Hope I'm showing you my puppy, not just the floor. Guess I'm showing you. Yep, that's Darcy. Darcy. There she is.
Hey.
Oh, I have news. My wife just came home from the cat shelter with 2 foster kittens and their mother,
Oh,
and they are a few weeks old.
Oh my.
wow.
And
So do you have to like nurse them and stuff? Like bottle feed, that's what they say, right?
No. They come with a mother.
Oh, right. You said
She's
that.
responsible for feeding them.
That's
We just
handy.
get them used to being handled by humans,
That's great.
which is a tough job, but someone's got to do it.
And you just
That's
have them for
wonderful.
a few weeks and then you keep them permanent, or how does that work with the
We'll
system?
probably have them about 2 months or so, and then they'll be adopted by someone else.
Okay.
They call it, at least the people the foster family where we got our dog, they also kept her brother, and they call that a foster fail when you keep the animal.
No. It's only a foster failure if you keep the entire litter.
Oh, okay. which you're not supposed to do with dogs, apparently. It's more okay with cats, I guess. Litter mates are, I don't know. That's what I've heard. Because we thought about adopting her with her brother, and they were like, actually, we have a policy against that. In migration news or whatever, I am going to be working on a like an ongoing importer kind of migration that I was working on months and months ago, and then I had to stop for a while, and now I'm back onto it, dealing with issues that we had with getting duplicate content and breakage with images getting imported because they're like overlapping JSON feeds. They have like their news articles that have both tags, and the feeds don't let you say, you know, give me an OR list so that you have unique records. That's not an option. So, Darcy. Anyway, so I'm excited to get to work on that again because I hated leaving it. I mean, I'm both excited and not excited because it was quite frustrating and difficult, but it also sucks to leave it behind for several months. So I'm sure I will be asking questions in Slack.
Excuse me.
How much of a hack is it to get two migrations to use the same map table?
Oh gosh.
Well, right now I'm not. I have two different migrations, I guess. And it's worked out for this particular site because they have so few articles and they want them all imported unpublished anyway. So they're going through it manually after the import already. So it hasn't been a problem that they simply don't publish to the same article. It's icky, but it works for now. So this is to, you know, and they're not getting images. So anyway.
I'm sure that's a fixable problem.
I bet it is. I am bummed that it didn't just work. Feels like something that should just work, especially with feeds not being a super popular thing to use in Drupal 9. But anyway, I'm sure it will work. Just didn't have time during the main project.
I'm kind of bummed that my day job hasn't given me any migration projects lately.
That's because Drupal 7 got moved back.
Absolutely, it is.
People just keep putting it off.
The other thing I've seen though is some people getting more on board with the idea of just leaving stuff behind and starting over, which is not a bad idea if it's an option. If it fits your use case, it's good to leave crap behind and start over and do a real analysis of what is actually needed. And we've seen that happen with some projects.
Yeah, my least favorite migration projects are the one where the client doesn't even know what their website does. And they just say, reproduce all the functionality of this site in Drupal 8 or 9. And I have a feeling I'm preaching to the converted here.
Our most recent Drupal migration, we didn't hardly do any migration work at all except for files.
Oh.
The content on the old site was, they had like 4 pages with each for a topic, and each page would have like a single paragraph. And the designers got with the site owner and said, you know, what if you create 1 page for all of this content? And you'd have 4 paragraphs, like an actual full page. So they're going to go from like 250 pages on their old site to probably 75 pages on their new site. And they get to do copy paste editing to do their migration. And then we ended up using default content to build out probably the first 25 of these pages, just so it has all the design elements and things that they were hoping to have for the site, so that these inexperienced content editors might have at least a little bit of a hope of entering the data into the new site, but we're all still rather skeptical that it's going to be a success, and we probably will end up having a few more hours given us by the client to pull the content from Google Docs and throw it into Drupal for them, because they're just not real good with technology. They never touched the old site. But we did migrate the client and the third party agency that we're doing all this work through, or we're sort of fourth man, fifth man out from this. They all think it's a migration, but we're not really using a Drupal except for files, which we're moving into media. That's the only thing we migrate.
Like
That's
a
all.
lowercase m.
Yeah, yeah. And none of us, except for me, on the client site, actually even have access to the client server because it's all behind VPN. And to try to get more than one person onto their VPN was like pulling teeth. So we have at this point, if they find a bug, I guess I have to fix it. I can't even give it to another developer. So we'll see how that goes. Or maybe we'll figure out how to get more people access to VPN.
I mean, give me a little reality check here. If you're migrating into files and media, you just have two separate migrations, each of which uses the same D7 file source, right?
Yes, sir.
We did, yes, but then we did split it out by file type in Drupal 9. So we do have like a documents and maybe that's called, yeah, we have a documents and then images and like I think we took the YouTube videos and moved those over as, so there's more than just.
Okay, so one file
But there is
migration and two or three or
redundancy between
four
those.
media
Yeah,
migrations.
yeah.
There are a lot
Okay.
of lines that are exactly the same between those two, though. Between
Oh
the media
yeah, yeah.
migration
This
and the
is
file.
yeah. This stuff was all hammered out in the last week. We'd been working on the project for a while, and the client said, "Oh, by the way, can you pull the files over just to make it easier for us?" Yes, and then we did it, 5 or 6 hours, 10 hours, and
That's
it just
great.
worked.
That's wonderful.
Like they wanted to manage the files themselves, so they had done tons of, well, I felt like it was tons of extra work. We're just going to rsync and move this stuff over, but they came up with a spreadsheet, and they had us download the files managed table and hand it to them as a CSV, and then they went through it and sent it to an intern, and they said, keep these however many hundreds of files. I think there's 1,500 files. I was like, whoa, okay. We're just going to rsync and copy all the files over, and you'd have it all. But that's our migration there. How are we doing on time? I feel like I should probably.
It's about time to wrap up.
Yep.
Well, it's been lovely seeing you
It's
all
really
again.
wonderful to see you all.
Let's do it again in 3 months.
Perfect.
Yes.
Is it the other
It's
time
day-
next time?
No.
It's always this time
Okay.
because it's the
That-
only
I feel like
time
I remember
all of us
seeing
can
that.
make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always this hour because this is the hour we can all get there. It's what time is it, Vicky?
It's 9 a.m. or it's 10 a.m.
Yeah.
now.
10 a.m. now. Yeah.
Thank you, Nikki.
It's
Okay.
4 o'clock here, so.
6 o'clock here.
6 o'clock
My
here.
Yep.
My dinner's on the stove, so I'm gonna go get it off.
Okay, I'll let y'all go. Nice chatting.
Bye.
seeing
Hey, guys. Good to
smiling
see
Thank you.
y'all.
faces.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.